All right, so here's a few news stories that I thought were interesting. And I see somebody wants to add. Sure, I'll add, just make an ad request online and I'll approve it for 125. There are no ad codes anymore. You just make the request and then I can approve it online. So anyway, here's a few news stories. This one was interesting. This is from Malware Tech, who is Marcus Hutchins. He is the guy that stopped the WannaCry worm and then was arrested by the FBI for previous crimes here in the United States, and then was defending himself in court for a couple of years and therefore has become an American instead of living in the UK. He seems to have stayed here. I don't know if he's free to leave yet, but anyway, he's a very interesting guy, publishes a lot of stuff online, and he pointed out something. Google has always had a malicious advertising problem. And that's why I think CISA or some major government agency just came out and said you should be using an ad blocker when you're running Google, because the Google ads often lead to malware. However, it's not just the ads. The Google search results also lead to malware to a large extent. And I've seen this many times. It flares up every few years to where it gets really bad, and it seems to have gotten really bad again. It seems like Google is pretty slow to respond. So he talks about all these URLs lead to fake versions of products. And there's a list here of the products, VLC, 7-zip, CCleaner. And I've seen this before, where you search to download a popular product, most of the hits are to fake websites. That's why whenever I do it, I always look for the real official website of the real company. But it's very easy to fool people who aren't familiar with how this works. And you could argue that it's Google not doing a good job of cleaning their search results. They don't clean their Android App Store very well either, which we were talking about a lot last semester in the mobile app hacking class. Yeah. What's that?
How is the site Softpedia?
Golfpedia?
Softpedia.
Softpedia? I do not know. I think I might have used it once or twice. Yeah, I don't know. I think I have used it, but I don't know if it's any better than the others. One thing that's a really good idea is to run it through VirusTotal before you accept anything. You can upload a file to VirusTotal, and you can send a URL to VirusTotal to see if the site is known to be malicious. That's some protection. And so this is an opinion that surprised me. You remember Trump said, when they found all these classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, he said, I can declassify them just by thinking about it. And the establishment people said, no, you can only declassify them by going through a formal declassification procedure. Then it has to go to document handlers who will change the markings and stuff. But none less than Bob Woodward. Bob Woodward seems to be saying, a very respected journalist, that Donald Trump is right. And for example, Trump did in fact declassify some of the documents by showing them to a person who wasn't allowed to see them. He showed them off to a journalist. He showed him the letters from Kim Jong-un and said, this stuff is top secret, and I'm showing it to you. And Woodward says that when he does that, that counts as declassifying. If the president shows something to someone without clearance, that declassifies it automatically. And this is what Trump said, and I thought that's ridiculous, and most people said that's ridiculous. But now another prominent person says that's true, so it's very interesting. And I think in any case, we're never going to find out, because I think the fact that Biden has now been caught with a bunch of classified documents he shouldn't have means that they're never going to prosecute anybody. I think the scandal is such that they're probably just not going to do anything about it.
Trump can be like a lawyer. I mean, can be a lawmaker.
Yes.
When he just make up laws all by himself.
Well, yeah, in the old days, the king was above the law, and anything the king did was legal. And that's what Trump basically claimed. He claimed the power of the presidency was like that, and a bunch of Republicans agreed with him, including the Attorney General, Bill Barr. Bill Barr subscribed to this Republican doctrine of the imperial presidency, where the president should have powers like a king. There are people that believe this.
But then if that is true, then Congress has no meaning. Cannot do
Well,
anymore.
that's right, and that was why he did not see any problem with the Attorney General rubber stamping everything Trump did, and he thinks Congress should rubber stamp everything Trump did. And that's part of the battle we're having. The Republicans that I listen to say there's the deep state, is all that stuff, and they're all just corrupt, and we should just have the president who does whatever he wants. It's the way a lot of countries were governed.
The Firefox browser in these machines are old.
That's probably what it is, yeah. Probably, that would explain why, because I was able to open that page in Firefox. Anyway, let's see, we got a couple more minutes. This was pretty amazing. We found the first exoplanets that are significantly different than planets here. All the ones we found before were like Jupiter or like Earth or like Mercury. They've now found 2 super-Earths that are twice the size of Earth and 50% water. So they're real water worlds, or say they think they're water. All they can get is the diameter and the density right now, and the density is too low to be rock and too high to be gas. So they figure it's probably water, but they don't really know that. But anyway.
Mars has water, right?
Well, Mars has water, and the moon has water, but it's a very small amount. The Earth,
The moon is really little. The moon
Yeah.
is part of the Earth anyway.
yes, the moon was part of the Earth, yes.
But the Mars is like the water is frozen. So
Yes, there is some frozen water on Mars and also on the moon, but it's nothing like this. I mean, here I think is the,
like an ocean type of thing.
yes, it's going to have a really thick ocean on the surface, really big. Like a lot of the surface is water, high pressure water and low pressure water, water vapor, whereas the Earth has just a tiny little skin of water. So anyway, that's interesting. At 137 light years away, so I don't think any of us are going to learn a whole lot more about it. But you know, as our telescopes get better, we'll learn a little more. But visiting it, we'll have to wait a few centuries anyway.
You never know. The human come out of water, so you never know what's in there.
That's right. Well, the only way is to send a probe there and find out, but that would probably take a few thousand years. So Microsoft is laying off people. This is something I heard Scott Galloway talk about, a famous tech journalist. He said that when Elon Musk fired 3/4 of the people at Tesla, everybody in Silicon Valley was amazed, and they think he's a hero now because Twitter did not collapse. Not at Tesla, but at Twitter. He fired 3/4 of the staff at Twitter, and there were some problems, but Twitter is still up and running. So that he convinced Silicon Valley people, you can just save a bunch of money by firing a bunch of your staff. Apparently, you can run with a lot fewer staff, so everybody's laying off. They're getting pressure from their board of directors. Why don't you lay off a bunch of the staff and make more money?
No, but the Twitter is doing, fire sale now.
Twitter's doing what?
Fire sale.
Oh, of course. Yes, the Twitter's having a fire sale. They're selling advertising at half price. They're selling off the office furniture. Sure, I don't think Twitter is a financial success, but they didn't die. So that means you can fire 75% of the people and still have.
You just have the program keep running, that's all.
Well, yeah, but anyway, most companies are taking the lesson that you could now cut by some smaller amount, like 10 or 20%, and it would probably be fine. So now Microsoft is doing it too. Pretty much everybody's laying people off, which of course is probably because we're going into a recession also, although maybe we won't. We seem to be having a soft landing.
You're just wait until all the startups come up and then take the Twitter's business.
Wait until the what?
All the startups come up and then take up Twitter business.
Well, yes, that's right. Startups will come up and compete with Twitter. Yeah, Twitter will have a lot of competition. Anyway, I think that's enough of the news. Let me stop this one.